Alrighty, everybody, welcome. We'll kind of get started. I was having some technical difficulties, which is really funny because normally people call me the tech wizard. But I was having some issues. But welcome. My name's Ashley. Thank you guys so much for being here. I think I know a handful of you in this room, so that's very exciting. Thank you for coming. And anybody online, hello. I can't see you, but Wendy's going to let me know if you have any questions or anything that you need assistance with. But today, the reason we're here is we're going to discuss writing your presentation. So in a simplistic way, that's just going to be how to present yourself and how to do an elevator pitch. But my name is Ashley, as we all discussed, and I'm from GATE. And so I think a lot of you maybe know a little bit about GATE. So GATE stands for Graduate Advanced Training and Entrepreneurship. And it actually is like the fun little sister is like a really good way to describe it under the Faculty of Grad Studies. So the advanced training portion is similar to this. So workshops, career readiness, professional development to help you get ready for a job or externally from the university. And then the entrepreneurship piece, which is the other half of it, is teaching you how you can utilize your research and build a business out of it. So how you can commercialize it to make money. Hello, hi. No, that's okay. And so, yeah, we provide practical experience for all of you. And so we do a lot of events and different things, but I'll kind of get carried and discuss that a little bit more at the end and talk about some of our exciting workshops and different opportunities that we have available at the end. Because you're all here to learn how to do a really awesome elevator pitch. So, yeah, I kind of went through this slide. So the career readiness piece alongside introductory and exploratory entrepreneurship. So there we go. So why are we all here? We know we're all very excited to learn about an elevator pitch. So we're going to turn our research into clear and engaging messages. And so we're going to learn how to properly execute an elevator pitch. So knowing how to format that and how to be able to change it and morph it dependent on who your audience is and where you are. So what your ecosystem looks like. And then you're going to be able to communicate some of your complex ideas from your research because your research is extremely important. But not all of us regular people understand all the complex ideas that you all are working on. And then how to build confidence. And specifically, this is for 3MT, but this will also work really well for you for further networking or different events that come up, like when you're looking for funding opportunities, or if you're looking for employment opportunities and say you come to the reverse career fair or something along those lines. So yeah, I just thought that it would be really cool and really easy, just quick. I'm going to say 5 seconds or less. I want to go around the room. I want to get to know you guys. I want to know who you are. I have some bubble gum in here, but just name and faculty.
Oh, I've met 50.
Okay, perfect. You want a bubble gum? There you go.
I'm at vacation
Perfect. Thanks for coming, ladies. That's exciting.
for science.
All right. Oh, awesome. Biology output? Okay. Okay. It's great to see so many different faculties. Normally I'm used to hearing like business or engineering. Biology too. Okay, this is awesome. Hi. What is your name? Oh, that's okay. What is your name? Education. Okay, great. Perfect. So this is like, that was easy, right? You're like, okay, this is my name. This is what I'm studying. And that's going to be a little bit of like a starting point for today. And so when you're meeting new people and you're building your 3MT pitch, this will be important for us to understand. Okay, I am just going to try. There we go. Okay, perfect. So today, I just want to get this out of the way. There's no pressure. Like coming from me specifically, I'm probably going to mess up on my words. I'm gonna I'm not that nervous just because there's not that many of you in the room, but I understand if you have social anxiety, that's completely fine. But today should be fun. You shouldn't have to be like sweating about this. There's not that many of you in the room, but it'll be easy for us to kind of have introductions with one another. Feel comfortable. You might make a new friend. That's awesome. And then I think each of you should have received a little notebook. We'll work through those today too. And like, if we don't get through it all, that's completely fine, but it's just a spot that you can reference back. The Center for Experiential Service Learning gave us those workbooks, and they're actually the co-op office. So it's a really good kind of like partnership that we have with them. They're able to provide other workshops. So after this, Wendy has some really fantastic 3MT workshops to get you ready for your presentation, but so does CESL. So if you're looking for further professional development, they're a great spot. And then also if you're looking for a job, they will help you with that. Okay, let's get going. So why do elevator pitches matter? So you can do incredible research. You guys are all like very aware of all the smart and incredible things that are out there in the world. But honestly, it doesn't matter if the person you're speaking to doesn't understand what you're saying. And honestly, people's attention spans are very quick. So if you can't catch them in the first 30 to 90 seconds, that's really difficult to try and keep them engaged and keep them going. So it doesn't mean that your work isn't valuable. It is, but you need to understand that most people, generally speaking, outside of the university, only have a high school education. So you want to make sure that when you're speaking to them, that you can come down to their level and you can give them a value proposition that makes sense to them. And honestly, most opportunities start with a short conversation. So you try and find like common ground with one another. So you try and make it that you can provide them value and then you find common ground and then you can have a conversation. So quick and easy. And like I said, it's not about dumbing down your research. You don't want to do that. You're obviously very capable humans. But you just need to clarify it to make sure that it comes across in a way that other people can understand it. Also, this is very beneficial for you because then that way they're engaged. They're going to be asking better questions. They're going to be wanting to know how they can help you, which is also very important. So you want to be telling a story. So yes, okay, we'll move on, but this is why they matter. And then we'll move on to what is it? So what is an elevator pitch? Has anybody in the room ever like gotten into an elevator and had that like awkward, just like you're both standing in a corner, not looking at one another because you don't want to make eye contact? Yeah, everybody has. But how cool would it be that like if you got in the elevator and you had no idea that President Keshen was there, or if Aziz was there, and you were able to kind of just like pull through and just have a quick, easygoing conversation about what your research is or what your value proposition as a person is. So an elevator pitch, exactly like you say, it's short 60 seconds explanation of your research or of what you're working on or what you find important. It clearly states who you are, what you're doing or what you're working on, why it matters, and who it's for. So you want to spark that interest. You really want to spark that conversation with somebody. And this is very important because I feel like as an academic, you always want to get into like the nitty-gritty details of like why this experiment this way, or like how these students responded to the specific like learning that you're teaching them, or giving them further details. That's getting too into the weeds. So you want to start having those conversations later on. You don't need to have that right off the bat. So this gives you a strategic snapshot of what the person, like what you're talking about and what your interests are, but you're trying to establish that common ground quickly so that they ask you questions. But it's also very important to remember that it's a two-way street. So as long as you're doing your elevator pitch, that's great. But you don't want to be speaking the entire time. You want to make sure that you're also asking engaging questions, that you're staying curious, and you're allowing the other person to speak. So this is a nice segue into networking. Because networking is a process of meeting new people in different social settings, which is exactly where you're going to be utilizing your elevator pitch. And you're going to be using it for mutual benefit, obviously. So you need to understand what networking is and how you can feel comfortable. Because you're going to be exchanging lots of different ideas and asking questions. But networking is important because it helps you discover opportunities. And so that's where you're going to be implementing your elevator pitch. But it also provides you different knowledge. It lets you like expand who you're speaking to, what different opportunities are. And the greatest thing about your elevator pitch is it opens new doors. So in saying that, it's not always about what dollar or numeric value you can get out of it or the specific outcome. You need to remember that when you're having your elevator pitch, it's also about like learning and building your network. That's very important because if you came and did an elevator pitch to me about your research, I might be like, oh, this is really interesting. I should flag that with the dean of engineering. But you wouldn't know that I know the dean. So without having that open conversation, you don't know who somebody else knows. Okay. And then this is a fun one. So more than 80% of personal contacts who help you find a job or help you in some sort of way, so opening up their network or funding opportunities, come from networking opportunities. So 80% of your personal contacts who help you find a job or help you with external opportunities come from simple conversations. So think of the last person you connected with. And so it could be anybody. It could even be me. Although more so, I would say at like a recent event. So if I feel like a couple of you guys are at grad night at the Owl, or sorry, grad night at Treffons for nachos. Did you follow up with the last person you spoke to or like a new person that you met? Have you sent a follow-up message? Have you explained who you are and kind of like dove a little bit deeper into understanding how you would be able to be mutually beneficial to one another? I'm getting a lot of blank stares around the room. So that's one piece that's also very important is so we'll continue talking about elevator pitches, but some of the pieces that really go into an elevator pitch is that relationship building and that networking piece. So making sure that like, yes, you can continue to like craft and tailor your elevator pitch, but remembering that you also need to follow through on the conversations that you're having. And yeah, success is really about who you know, not what you know sometimes. And so that's very important to remember when you're doing your elevator pitch, just understanding that who you know and who somebody else knows is equally as beneficial to you as your research is to them. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna give you guys, I don't know, like a minute. That first little section in the work booklet, it doesn't have to be perfect, but we're going to reflect on kind of your background and some of the pieces that you worked on like your research, what makes it unique, what you're hoping to do next, and what value you bring. This is going to be quick and easy. I'm going to probably, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to set a 60-second timer, and I just want you to write a bunch of different words on the page, just like fire off things. Like, I don't want you to think too much about it. I just really want you to make sure that you have something written down. And this reflection will hopefully come quite easily to you. And it's going to be a foundation of your elevator pitch. Moving on.
So it's just the section right here.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, second and that full part, because before you hit class.
Yes.
So if you want to quickly jot your answers on the side there, we should also move Is there somebody, there is a student there.
Okay, great.
I did send that.
Hi, sorry to our friends online. I am,
I don't think I can do it on my phone. That was fine.
no, that's okay. Am I? The meeting, there we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, well, you guys got way more than a minute. Okay, amazing. So this reflection, sorry, like I said before, this is going to be the foundation of your elevator pitch. So, okay, we'll just quickly move on because that took some time. But here we go. Ultimately, we want to lead with value. So, like I said, you want to provide value to the person and the audience member that you're speaking to. This should hopefully be somewhat of a mindset shift. So understanding that many students obviously default to some of the credentials that you have, or I worked at this place and I got, or, I have this teaching award, or, I was able to provide X, Y, and Z. Or your core classes, I feel like that's what we get trained to deal with at a university level is okay, have you taken class 400 XYZ? Have you taken class 800 AB to make sure that you qualify for this next level? But professionally and in community contexts, when you're dealing with industry partners, honestly, they don't know what that means. They have no idea. They're like, oh, okay, that's great, cool, that's a check mark for them. What they're worried about is understanding that you have, your undergrad or your master's or your PhD. That's what they see. They don't need to know about the nitty-gritty details. So they're going to be listening differently, and they're going to be looking for value in a different sense as to what you're used to in an everyday classroom. And so, like I said previously, value looks different. It does, externally when you're speaking to others versus at the university. So it can look like new knowledge or insight. So ways that would pertain to somebody making better decision making. So that's always going to be something that they're super curious about. Is the information that you're telling them or the relevancy, can it help them further down the line in solving a problem, for example? Can they improve their systems? Can they look at policies? Can they update something that they're currently working on? But it also is just a connection to their network. So like I said before, if you go and introduce yourself in your elevator pitch, the value that you're bringing to them, you don't know who they know. And I think that that's really key. So you really want to keep that in the back of your mind as this is what your value proposition is. You really want to lead with that. And then once interest and you have common grounds, then you just want to have an easygoing conversation with them. Like you would a high school kid or, something like that. You want to keep them engaged, asking those questions. All right, here we go. So preparing your story. So within that workbook, now that you've had a couple minutes to review it, the next little section, so that middle section there, we're going to be walking through and spending some time just looking through examples and just really emphasizing the value that you're bringing and how you can include different learning options, efficiencies, and not super specific courses that you've taken or things that you've done. And then once you've had a couple seconds to look through that, I would love for you to turn to the person beside you and just kind of quickly pair up and just think of an example that you can walk through and just give them an example of something that you've done really well. So right here it says, Kate, look at this method. So a situation, something that you worked on with a task, the action that you took, and the result. So something that you're really good at or something that you like doing. So say, for example, computer science, you're working on a coding project and you're really great at managing all the different expectations. So that might come across differently. So, you might really enjoy project management, or course assignment. So understanding that, and then talk about what action you took and how it built it out. So this is going to help you kind of like tailor that pitch in a sense of understanding like what events you can talk about and how you can really define them and make them more specific to talk about, so that you're not telling them an entire story about what you were working on. Okay. I'm going to leave that here. I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes this time. I'm actually going to time it. And then we'll turn to our neighbors, and then we'll quickly tell them about one of our experiences and their backgrounds. Okay, so you have 2 minutes to think up a situation, how you actively did it, the action you took, and then what the result was. Okay.
Yeah, more.
Good. Okay, awesome. We're gonna get together and we're gonna do more partner pieces, but we are gonna move forward and trying to get you to understand your research story. So a lot of you need to kind of just like pause and just like, we're gonna fill in this next page here. So building your research story, because a lot of you, that's why you're here. You're doing incredible research and you need to learn how to portray that story to external participants. And so we are going to practice this, but one of the pieces is I want you to be able to go through each section and just think about your highs and your lows. And so there's 9 sections. So we have education, your top strengths and your skills. So I always want to make sure that you're thinking about your research in this situation. Some of your top achievements and your successes, your academic projects, so anything that you worked on, industry or field knowledge. So if you've worked with any researchers, or if you know of any current trends or anything like that. Some target organizations. So if you think about who you would like to network with, what are some organizations that you would really like to connect with? What inspires you? So not only what, keeps you up at night, but also what inspires you to keep coming back to this, because you're the expert in your field. And so understanding like, what is that passion? What are people going to be like pulled towards you for? And then where do you want to be the next, 2 to 3 years? Hopefully done your master's program, but if not, then the next 3 to 5 years. So like understanding, finishing your research, and then what does that next step look like? And then if you have any interesting facts. So interesting facts can be anything that you're currently working on with your research project, or if there's like an interesting fact as to like why you got involved in this, or, things like that. So I'm going to just give you a few seconds. Honestly, this just needs to be a quick brain dump. You don't need to think a lot about it. You can come back to it. But this is just to kind of get some words on the paper, just to make you feel a little bit more confident when we start building our elevator pitch and trying to like elaborate our research projects to somebody who doesn't know about it. So this is just going to be a quick brain dump. Maybe what I'll do is turn on some fun music. I'll give you guys maybe like a minute and a half, but I just want you to, there's bullets there, just like start writing some stuff down just to get it on the page, because it is helpful to be able to reflect and look down and kind of see your accomplishments on paper. And then when you're able to portray that, but use simple words and just get something down on some paper. So I'll play a quick song here and then we'll get going. Okay. Sounds like we're all gonna do yoga together. That's what this song sounds like.
So long, you really, it's fine. I don't mind if you lost tonight.
Hello, my pioneers, my forward-thinking game changers. My name is Ruben Christian, and welcome to the Networker, a show where you guys can learn how to start relationships out of thin air. Professional relationships? The elevator pitch is your first step towards becoming a networking god. Hey, Mr. CEO, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you.
Ruben, right?
Yes.
Oh, I've heard a lot of good things about you.
Nice.
So,
nice.
What is it that you do then exactly?
Well, you know, I like merge all my talents together and just give it out to the world, like all my stuff inside me. It's like a mixture of stuff. Like I'm a creative guy, people's person, obviously. I write a bit of comedy, I present, I get up stage, talk to people, and I just know together all my creative ideas and my whole teams. That's not an elevator pitch. That's the ramblings of an unprepared bitch. An elevator pitch is a sentence that sums up what you do so concisely that you can tell it in a space of your average elevator ride. If you were to write it down, it'd be about 140 characters, which is about a tweet. So, let's try that again, shall we? Hey, Mr. CEO, good to see you, sir. Good to see you.
Hi, Ruben, right?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, I've heard a lot of good things about you.
Okay, nice.
So, what is it you do then actually?
I'm a presenter and a comic. I host live events and I make online comedy videos. And I'm also co-founder of individualism.co.uk, which is the UK's leading men's style blog.
Oh, excellent. We've got a few events coming up and we could do with your services. Have you got a card, haven't you?
I do. Yes, I do. There you go.
I'll be in touch.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice day, mate. See? Preparation, it got me some potential work with the CEO of this whole company. Yeah.
Did you say a men's styling blog?
I did, yeah.
Man, I've been looking for a stylist.
And possibly another client. Although that's too much work, man. Remember guys, your elevator pitch should be short and to the point, even if you do live on the 100th floor. You need to know exactly what you do, as you do not want to give people the wrong idea. I've been Ruben Christian.
Okay, so that was obviously very silly, but like super fun example of how it makes sense when you're trying to explain what you do and what your research is and trying to get people involved and on the same page as you. So like we discussed, we want to make sure that we keep it short, simple, to the point. And really allowing, did you see how he was able to let the other guy talk almost just as long as he did? And he asked some really valuable questions. Obviously very staged. That's not how it's going to be in the real world. But going on an elevator and talking about it. So he was like, I do this. This is my organization. This is what I'm working on. Same thing with you guys with your research. Hey, I'm Ashley, you know, like I'm a business student and I'm getting my master's in whatever field. And this is really what I'm interested in. And like, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what wakes me up in the morning. And like understanding how that makes people tick. They'd be like, oh, that's really cool. That's really interesting. Like, does this also relate to this field? Could I maybe set you up? Could we go for a coffee? Those are kind of the conversations that you want to have. But super fun. This one is how to make a memorable pitch. We will send out the pitch slides to you, but this one's 10 minutes and it kind of walks you through step by step the process that you need, which also kind of works through like who you are, what you're interested in. But that's like what the really fun blocks were that we kind of walked through a little bit as well. Okay. So he had kind of alluded to it in the video, practice makes perfect. We've heard that since we were 4 years old in learning how to do things, but it really is part of it. So really getting comfortable and like separating yourself. So earlier when you said that you wanted to reach out to somebody who like, you know, wasn't your friend in biology, that's great. Like you want to practice, you want to be involved with other people in the room. And so, because I know that you guys want to make friends, I thought it would be really cool. So what we'll do is we'll kind of practice. I'll give you guys 60 seconds each, so 2 minutes per group. And we'll kind of go through a couple minutes here and there. I want you to do your elevator pitch. Kind of just say what your name is, what you're working on, why you're excited about it, how it impacts that person. See if you can kind of start a conversation, whether or not that works out. And then the other person's gonna go. But what I really want you to do is to think about kind of what we've talked about today, and then provide each other with some constructive feedback. But please be kind. Like, don't be like, Ashley, you sucked. I want you to be supportive. I want you to be like really engaging with one another. And so if something like you didn't understand what they said, or if you're like, oh, I didn't really grasp why this was important to you or how it would impact me, those are kind of the pieces that you want to think about constructively to give the other person. But yeah, we'll see if we can get through 2 to 3 people, but right now we'll just pair you all up and we'll try it for the first one, but I'll give each person 60 seconds to speak. So whether or not your elevator pitch takes that long for you to talk about your research, we can keep it there, but everybody pair up and then we can kind of work around the room. Awesome.
All right, so we're like first, should we speak with so I'm Flora. We're in international program. You want this to scale? So I want you to slide it. I'm looking at a program that already part of the program from here to and so it's for game design. So currently
Okay, fantastic. Practice makes perfect. So the last thing I just quickly want to touch on, and this is kind of a takeaway for everything, but especially for elevator pitches, networking, online networking. So this can relate to LinkedIn if you're sending messages as follow-up. Don't make chat GPT your personality, okay? So as we were kind of discussing today, like you want to talk about like what your value proposition is for others. You kind of want to talk about what you've been working on, what makes them interested, and what keeps them asking questions. And so these are some really good examples of like, hi, my name's Ashley. I'm a master's student in environmental biology. Don't you guys wish? That'd be so cool. Researching how prairie ecosystems respond to climate change because it's freezing outside. And I was at the Elevator Pitch 101 conference, and I really enjoyed your work and how your data told a story. I'm excited to connect with you and discuss sustainability and potentially summer climate. So this is something that like I just quickly pulled together. So engaging. You could be like, oh, like what is your prairie equals like? What does that mean? How do they respond to change? Have you ever thought of X, Y, and Z? What did you think of the conference? And like, what is your research on? Some of those pieces, really important. You don't want to go into it with, hi, I'm highly motivated. That's what gets me up out of bed all day. I am a really strong communicator. Okay, are you though? And I really like teamwork and leadership, and I'm looking for a job, or I'm looking to get some grant funding from you. No, you do not want to make ChatGPT your personality. You really want to go into it with authenticity and really kind of build your story. Make sure that people can ask you more questions. It just builds stronger connections, and it really shows your values and your experiences when you are more authentic. But here we go. We're almost done. So key takeaways. Like I said at the beginning, your research really does have value. It's very important. And this just creates clarity. So writing it out, kind of understanding what your common themes are, seeing what you're confident in, really valuing like your accomplishments, like you're incredible people. Practice like today builds that confidence really well. So kind of seeing like where you started versus where you can go, and really adjusting kind of what you told people based on kind of what you had known about them. And remember to just stay curious. So ask those questions and make sure you're allowing people to also talk. So you want to make sure you listen. But yes, everybody in this room has different experiences, why it's really important to listen, and different backgrounds. But very specifically, your background is your advantage. So like your research and understanding your topic, you're the expert. That is why people are excited to talk to you. They want to know more about you. And so, yeah, here we go. I think you guys all did great. But if you're curious and want to do more gate things with me, because I'm so fun, we have some upcoming events. And so just to keep you guys aware of kind of what GATE offers. So some of our professional development pieces, Careers Week is coming up next week. All of those sessions will be run by CESL, except for one of them that's presented by me. And so it is GATE Power Hour, and you're going to learn how to use LinkedIn. And then we have the Reverse Career Fair coming up. So those are also workshops put on by CESL. And then I'll be hosting the LinkedIn workshop once again. And the Reverse Career Fair would be really important, I think, for a lot of you in this room, especially you're going to be needing a job at some point in time. But it's super fun because similar to this, you're going to be networking, but you'll be networking with specific industry partners that are in your field. So in biology, say you wanted to really speak to somebody from K+S or Yarrow or BHP, we have those people on the other side of the table talking to you. However, it's like fun speed dating. So they go from table to table to table, and you just get to sit there and discuss what your values are and what your research is about. And then lastly, we have the President Keshen event, which is also super cool. So President Keshen goes and invites all of his like very swanky, really cool CEO friends, and they have a panel discussion at the front of the room. And so they talk about what they've learned in their roles, what they're looking for, and kind of some learnings and discoveries and different opportunities that they have. So you get to network with CEOs, which is actually incredible to me that they show up because I can't get one-on-one time with them, but during this event you do. And then on the other side of things, so if you're curious about innovation and entrepreneurship, we do have our boot camp coming up. The deadline to register was last Friday, but if it's something you're really interested in and wanting to understand like how you can take your research and build a business and you didn't register, you can come talk to me. And then we also have the innovation challenge, which is in a couple weeks. And that's going to be a quick 24 hours. So you'll also learn how to do a pitch and present an idea and receive, if you win, you get to receive some money. So that's very exciting. But those are some of the GATE events that we have coming up. More importantly, we have 3MT, which is why you're all here. And so we have a lot of those workshops happening next week. So I believe there's 2 next week. There's 2 next week. And then there's 2 the following week after that. But if you have questions about the 3MT presentations, Wendy will be offering those. And I believe most of them are also hybrid. However, clearly it's better to be in the room because who knows who's going to be doing the tech. Because if it was me, I'm so sorry for the people online. But does anybody have any questions? Like, yeah.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
Can we apply this methodology for job interview, for example, if they
Yeah.
ask you something very broad, like talk about yourself or?
Yes, yeah, that's perfect. Because that's a big piece of this is like, we wanted to focus a lot on like what your research is, but wholeheartedly, from my background, it's going to be more so of a job interview perspective. So yeah, you can talk about your accomplishments because a lot of that should be similar. But like I said, it's going to be framing it to the person you're talking to and understanding what they're speaking to you about. So in a job interview situation, they're going to be curious about like how you problem solve and like how you're able to identify different problems or how you're able to work through a situation or a task. Which is similar to building out your research and understanding it, but this is going to be more specific, more detailed. And so understanding that process, it goes hand in hand. So yes, you are. And like I said, different audiences, different people are going to be looking for you to tailor that message differently. So yes. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Ashley, for this. You mentioned something very profound when you said, like when we are giving our elevator speech, we should focus on what value we are bringing to the other person, right? So for a situation whereby you're at a conference, you don't know who this person is.
Yeah.
How can you make that elevator pitch because you don't know what values he's prioritizing, right?
Yep.
He's just a stranger there. So how do you focus on those values?
Yep. So a little bit in that video, it was kind of like a good takeaway or like a good like piece. Like, so he knew that that was the CEO. But for example, if you're going to a conference that's going to be on event planning, for example, you know that most of the people at that conference are going to be somewhat focused on understanding event planning. Or if you're going to like a research or education conference, you're going to know that most of the people there are going to care about some sort of aspect for education. So you're going to be highlighting what you're currently working on. So it would just be like a general kind of overview on kind of something that you're interested in. So your name, potentially where you're from, if it's outside of Saskatchewan, what you're working on and kind of why you're interested in it, but then leaving that open to be able to build that conversation and then ending with a question. So being like, and what about you? Where are you from? Or like, what is your area of research? And so building that, and then you can get more specific.